Seeing none, I will recognize the member for Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It is indeed a pleasure to rise in this House today to speak on behalf of my constituents in Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills. First, I would like to extend my congratulations to you, Mr. Speaker, on your recent election. I am both honoured and humbled to rise and address this Assembly for the first time on behalf of the citizens of Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills. I am honoured to be chosen for the duty entrusted to me by my constituents and humbled to serve in this House where many able and worthy representatives have come before me. I do have big shoes to fill. I congratulate and applaud my predecessor, Richard Mars, on a lengthy and noteworthy career. When Mr. Mars stood where I stand today, delivering his maiden speech in the legislature, he referenced the English writer and clergyman Sidney Smith, who said, "It is the calling of great men not so much to preach new truths as to rescue from oblivion those old truths, which it is in our wisdom to remember and our weakness to forget." Mr. Speaker, I believe Mr. Mars lived those words and right to the end sought to return his party to the path of small c conservatism. I shall endeavour to continue his work here in this legislature. The fact there is a long history of great MLAs from the Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills region, including the youngest member elected at the age of 23. Bob Clark later became the Minister for Youth and then Education. He finished his 20-year career as an MLA as leader of the opposition. Lastly, I recognize and thank another former MLA, Connie Osterman, who served the people of the region faithfully for more than a decade. Before her career as an MLA and a minister began, she organized a group of farmers and landowners to campaign for changes to the Surface Rights Act and the Expropriation Act. Changes finally made in the early 1970s. The work she did to protect landowners' rights should not be lost on this generation of MLAs. I thank Connie and her husband Joe for their support, and I am proud to call them friends. I am gratified, Mr. Speaker, to represent the citizens of one of Alberta's larger rural ridings. Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills is more than just an amalgamation of three towns having a common history. My riding relies on the hard work of hundreds of farm families who live between our 12 urban municipalities, where agriculture is not just a leading industry, it is the backbone of our economy and the bedrock upon which our communities are built. Mr. Speaker, it is important to remember that long after the oil is gone, agriculture must and will remain. We have a vast and diverse riding that sweeps from Huxley in the northeast to Water Valley in the southwest, and from Eagle Hill in the northwest to Carbon in the southeast. Not only do we have 12 urban municipalities, but there are also 3 counties as well, the counties of Mountain View, Rocky View, and Kneehill. Our rural areas are strong, but the towns in the riding take a back seat to no one. We have our namesakes, but we also have wonderful communities like Carstairs, Trochu, and Linden. When the riding boundaries were redrawn, we welcomed a new southern boundary, and the riding now includes Crossfield, Irricana, and Bicycle, my hometown. Crossfield is the heart of manufacturing and commercial industry in the riding. We have unlimited potential in the riding of Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills and in the whole province of Alberta. Helping to unleash that potential is Olds College. Founded in 1913, the college today sits on a campus of more than 2,000 acres that includes a working farm. They have more than 30 degree programs and lead in innovation and agricultural technology. Recently, I was honored to attend the grand opening of a new program at the college. They became the first college in Western Canada to offer a brewmaster program. For those of you that are good at math, you would have realized that in 2013, the college will celebrate its 100th anniversary. The whole year will be a celebration of agriculture in rural Alberta that will feature major monthly events, peaking with the World Plowing Championships in August. I invite you to come down to the college and join me and the brewmasters for the historic events and enjoy the fruits of their labors. Ian. I also hope the Government of Alberta will be forthcoming with support for this year-long celebration. Like many of my constituency citizens, I was raised on a family farm. My parents farmed just west of Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. I spent many an hour in the seat of my father's 1960 Massey tractor with no power steering, and I learned a love for the land that endures to this day. Excuse me. Growing up where and when I did, it didn't take long for me to realize that our farm was too small to support two families. After high school, I made the decision to attend the Saskatchewan Technical Institute and start my career as an electrician. Like some before me and many afterwards, I left Saskatchewan for Calgary in 1969 to attain full-time work. It proved to be one of the best decisions of my life. I spent the next 35 years as one of Alberta's hard-working tradesmen and small business owners. I saw the good times and the bad, the energy boom of the early 70s, and the awful aftermath of Trudeau's national energy program in the 1980s. During this period, I met and married my wife, Carol. We have two children, Barbara and Stephen, and two grandsons, Everett and Elliot. Mr. Speaker, you may rest assured that public service is a calling I take seriously. I have served as mayor for the better part of a decade. I've learned that it takes more than a sense of duty to help your community succeed. It takes hard work, long hours, and determination. But more importantly, it takes a heartfelt desire to listen to the people and the wisdom to act on their concerns. My fellow members need to understand that the previous government's legislation impacting landowners' rights is not acceptable. The way in which landowner rights were being abused was just plain wrong. The lack of discussion with Albertans when creating the legislation was disappointing, to say the least. Landowners' rights are vital to Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills. It is critical we respect Albertans' private property. Continued tinkering with the healthcare system while wait times grow is not acceptable. This includes introducing new programs or clinics without proper consultation of the stakeholders or completion of pilot projects. In the throne speech, we heard about the continued commitment to family care clinics, but the people of Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills are very concerned about just where all the new doctors and nurses are going to come from. Even the AMA has raised concerns about this project, but it seems that, like land rights, the government is not that interested in listening. As a result of the lack of listening, for the first time in a generation, my riding chose to elect an opposition MLA, giving me a solid mandate to raise their concerns. My election was no accident. The government broke the faith with my constituents. As many citizens across this great province, the great news, my friends, is it doesn't have to be this way. All of us, all 87 members of the 28th Assembly, have the opportunity to turn the page on politics as usual, which often leave the individual MLA muzzled and local communities wondering where their representation has gone. As my riding's MLA, I pledge to provide my support and voice the ideas advocated by my constituents. As well, if a fellow MLA brings forward an idea supported by my constituents, I will support it in words and in action. The free vote I have as a member of the Wild Rose ensures that good policy will win my support. Mr. Speaker, I truly hope that others here today are willing to embrace this approach, which I believe will renew our democracy in ways that will benefit our children's children. Often it seems that the meaningful debate of vital interest to our province is locked away behind caucus and cabinet doors. By bringing that debate back into this chamber, it will empower MLAs to do the job we were sent here to do. As a former member of the Alberta Urban Municipalities Association executive, I'm keenly aware of how beneficial it can be when people of all political stripes work together. Furthermore, I believe it is in the interest of our province to remove the politics from our infrastructure funding system. We need a universal priority list of infrastructure projects, and we need to make that list publicly available. Whether it's the twinning of Highway 63 or the Highway 2 overpass for the town of Olds, the public deserves to know when these projects will be completed, as well as when and why projects are overdue. On the east side of my riding, the cost of water is another factor standing in the way of economic development. I believe we must find a long-term solution to the high water rates paid by those connected to the Aqua 7 water line. The public demands and deserves this basic accountability. As a true conservative, I believe that a smaller, more focused government is advantageous to its citizenry. Mr. Speaker, I am more than willing to meet with any MLA in this legislature to discuss issues of common concern. I will also oppose the government forcefully when necessary. But you may rest assured I am less interested in posturing than I am in policy. I look forward to working with all 86 members of this Assembly excuse me, and representing the people of Olds-Didsbury-Three Hills. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.